Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, privyet, mabuhay, and Jean dobre. It's so good to be with you again, and I know you'll be so happy you've joined us because we have a very cool guest with us today, and it's Amy Woods, who is a transformational mindset speaker. That is so cool. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I loved all the hellos.
Yay. We love having this too. Well, I love having you with me right now, and I know our audience will too once they get a chance to hear you out. So, without any further ado, Amy, please tell us more about who you are and what you do.
So I am Amy Woods, obviously, like Samia said. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee in the United States, and I am a I'm a transformational mindset speaker, which means I help people find their inner power, what they want to do, whether that's relationship wise, career wise, business wise. And I help them map that out without fear. I help them deal with the fears of change because you can't transform without change. And a lot of people are like, but I don't want to change. You have Things are changing every day. You embrace it every day. So when it comes to the big things, I help people step into their power to see they already have the ability to do so, and that fear is just trying to keep them safe and in a comfortable position of what they know at the moment. So as soon as you start to make those changes, that fear comes in and says, wait a minute, we're not doing the same thing we did yesterday. Why are you doing that? So I hope people see that. I also help with teaching leaders how to be a more connected leader using their imagination and creativity. Because if you're tapped into your own imagination and creative forces, you have a more intimate relationship with the people that you are leading, and they are better relationships and better communication happens because of that.
I love both of those aspects of your work. They're both
Thank you.
so important. Oh gosh. How did you get into it? Like, it's been your journey like?
Oh, okay. My journey. It's been a rough one up until I chose to make it not rough. I fully believe, even though, you know, we like to blame outside forces for things that have happened to us. Like my parents did this, my parents did that, or my ex-husband, or, my friends, or whoever it was. And the truth is, we have to take radical responsibility for the life we actively participated in. So the reason why I realized this was because after my divorce, I actually ended up homeless. And through being homeless, while I was homeless, I was sued for full custody of my kids. And I lost my children in the middle of all of that. I had no money to fight for them. And knowing that they would be alienated from me because of the family history on the other side, I still had to choose to allow them to go live there before the custody battle even came up, because I wouldn't take them into homelessness. And afterwards, I mean, I wasn't a big partier or anything like that. Afterwards, I started drinking really heavily because I didn't know how to deal with losing my kids. My kids were my whole world. I was the sports mom. I was active in their life. We were in church. I mean, their friends always came over. We helped other kids in the community. But I was that mom, who's I helped raise their friends almost because their friends were always at our house. And I never said I had just 2 kids. I had a whole neighborhood of kids, that they were my kids.
Yeah.
So that devastation of not having my kids with me, I didn't know how to grieve it. I didn't know how to let that go. So I started drinking, and I drank for 2 years very heavily. I couldn't make it through the night sleeping without drinking. I had seizures from it, and it ultimately led me to, just in my mind, because it was so sopped up with alcohol, I thought, well, nobody can tell me not to take my own life or not tell me how to and how to leave this world. So my now husband, which we had started dating when we were both in the trenches of grief, he had lost his wife suddenly. And nobody teaches you how to deal with that either. They were married for 38 years, but we got together, and I remember he left to go to the store. Well, I don't remember. This is what he told me. Apparently there was a full half gallon of whiskey when he left. And when he come back, I was holding on to it. I had drank the whole thing, and I had a gun in my mouth ready to shoot. And he tackled the gun out of me, got that away from me before I did. And I woke up 4 days later in the hospital. And from there, I wanted to blame everything on everybody else. And the truth is I allowed the relationship to happen before with my ex-husband. And I didn't see that just in an instant. Maybe I should talk about what happened first while I was at the hospital. Um, Somebody had told me, the nurse come in and asked me, how did you get to this point? What happened in your life to make you want to do this? And at the time, I was still so mad because even the choice to take my own life and how I did it, how I wanted to exit, did not happen. So I was so mad. And it's so ridiculous. It sounds so ridiculous, but that's how I felt at the time. She goes, okay, well, that didn't work. So what are you going to do now? I go, what do you mean? What am I going to do now? I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I have no money. I have no home. My kids are gone. She goes, exactly. You have this clean slate that you get to build upon and put whatever you want there. She goes, it's up to you to choose what you put there. So I was like, nobody's ever asked me what I wanted before. In my entire life, nobody's ever asked me, what do you want? What do you want to choose to build your life into? I was always told what to do. I was always told, or if I wanted to do, I was controlled a lot, and money controlling. Um, money was used to control me a lot, and other people's fears were controlled me a lot, even like back in my childhood and stuff like that. So in that moment, I'm like, what do I want to do? I had to really sit and think about what I wanted to do. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I've been an active participant in my whole life. Even with what happened when I was with my parents. I chose to take on their way of doing things. I chose to take how they did things, even though I knew in my heart of hearts how they felt and what they did wasn't right. I still brought that forward with me. I chose my ex-husband because, oh, well, this is better than what I'm used to. So I chose to marry young. I chose to marry knowing it wasn't going to last, knowing I wasn't fully committed into it. And then I chose to leave and not protect myself the way I should have, because I just wanted out. I just wanted out. I jumped the gun. I went, I did it. And I think when we, come from a life of that's chaotic, you're in that fight and flight mode all the time. So when you make a decision, you're just like, okay, I'm gone. And you don't think it through. And it's something that, you have to unlearn. And it's something you have to recondition yourself on how you do. But I was still an active participant, and that radical responsibility is what's led me to where I'm at now. I
Yeah.
took radical responsibility moving forward and said, I am not putting anything on this clean slate that does not empower me, that does not satisfy me, that does not fulfill me or bring me happiness. And that's what I started to do. And I'm a big nerd. I love researching off the wall things. I love looking into the weirdest things that nobody would look at. So I went to college right away. I didn't have a plan on how. I just knew I had to do something. I had to fulfill my brain and make sure I could kind of reprogram it a little bit, especially from all the intoxication from the alcohol, and re-stimulate it and let it heal itself. And that's what led me to starting my own business, and then another business. And now I own 4 businesses. And the truth is, this was all only 8 years ago. So now I'm hosting events. I'm doing one that's I Am What's Possible. That's the title of it. And it's because I want people to understand it doesn't matter where you come from. If you take radical responsibility from this moment forward and decide what you're going to put on your plate. I mean, you have a choice even with eating. You know, you can either fill it with sugar and carbs, or you can fill it with good food. And you're going to have the outcome of what happens with sugar and carbs, or you're going to have the outcome of what happens with good food. And that's the same thing with your life. And that's how I've come to where I'm at.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey and your story with us, Amy. It's so meaningful and helpful to know where you're coming from, because a lot of us, we can be talking about, oh, do this, do that, uh, but there's, for the listener, oftentimes, like when I would listen to people saying things that at one level sounded inspirational and good, but there would be another part of me that would be questioning, I don't know. Like, do you really know what like what I'm been through or what I'm going through? And I mean, and my situation, my grief, my trauma, does this really apply? And so
Yeah.
for me, it has been really important. Like some of the most, like especially in the early years of my healing journey, like the teachers that most impacted me were the ones I I connected with them first of all, and I was willing to listen to them because they shared something of their own trauma, their own pain
Yeah.
that I could relate to. And I was like, oh, and you were able to overcome that? If you can do it, then maybe I can do it too. It was just, that it gave me some hope.
Yes.
And some context for that hope, because when you are um sometimes in your really dark places, it just, like, I mean, like what you even said about, like, you would sometimes just act and not think things through. I think even that's a
Yes.
blessing in a way, because
Yeah,
Like I
it
have,
can be.
yeah, because I have been in situations where like I would overthink and I would
Mm,
paralyze myself into inaction because I didn't have a plan, because I felt like I didn't have enough information, I didn't have enough knowledge, I didn't have enough this or that.
yeah.
So sometimes just, having that mindset of, no, you know what, I'm just going to do it, even if I don't know what I'm doing or how I'm going to make it happen. Even that can be a huge blessing.
It does. And, sometimes I think when it's for a good thing, like when I started hosting, putting this event together, I have no idea how to put a big event together. I've been learning as I go. I just knew in my mind and in my heart, this was something I wanted to do to be able to help others. And I know I have a voice and I can ask people, what did you do? Or, if I would connect with other companies, how does the sponsorship work? How does media work? How do I do this? And people want to help.
Yeah.
You just, but they don't know you exist unless you talk to them and, ask for their help. And I'm not putting this event together all by myself, because of that. This has been a journey of everybody contributing. And but I would have never have done it if I would have waited to get all my ducks in a row per se. That saying, have your ducks in a row. I
Yeah.
would have never done it if I would have waited for that because my ducks are never in a row. They're kind of floating around everywhere and we have to corral them together.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a element of like you have to be willing to take some risks and learn
Have to
and
trust it.
grow, and at the same time you were saying that there's some element of, like thinking things through, being prepared. So what can you tell me a little bit more? Are you saying there's like some kind of a balance to strike there? And how do you like navigate that?
There is. So like, when it's something that and that you're passionate about, that is really scary. Maybe it's buying a commercial building to run a business out of. Maybe it's hiring a whole team. Maybe it's moving from into a different country. Maybe it's moving from one side of the country to the other. If you know in your heart of hearts it's good and it's going to bring out, something even better for you. You may not know what that outcome is.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we get our anxiety is that need to know what that outcome is
Mhm.
before we leap. But if you know you have the ability and you trust yourself, you know it's going to be okay. And just expect failure. Failure is going to happen, but it's a learning process. And is this event going to be as big as I want? I don't know. I hope it is. But if it fails, I also have a blueprint now for the next one to do it differently, to make it come out better. And I think people look at failure as an ending, and it's not. It's a learning process. And if you're really committed to always learning, you know that whatever steps you're taking, it's not going to come out bad or wrong. Now, if it's to protect you and to make big changes, there's that different type of fear. There's that fear of, will this work? What will people think of me? What will my spouse think? What will my friends think?
Yeah.
It's what's going to change in my life from this. Or there's that fear of, I've got to get out of here. I'm suffocating. I'm dying inside. I'm that jump and leap when it's like that. You're not really in the mindset to take that risk and jump because what you're doing is you're jumping into a desperate situation and desperation cancels manifestation. So when you're jumping and leaping in a way that okay, yeah, this is a little scary, but it's going to be good. You know, there's that balance there. The fight and flight mode comes into play when something bad is happening, not so much when it's a good thing. So I encourage people, if you're looking to get out of a situation, take a step back, make a plan, make sure you're safe, first of all, if it's really bad, and then make a plan so that way when you come out on the other side, you have stepping stones to go with, because there's going to be things you're going to have, there's an order there that you're going to have to work with in order to start to rebuild yourself and start to navigate whatever it is that you're needing to navigate. So I think knowing the difference in the fears of what's a good fear and what's a fear of safety, and, even mental safety, emotional,
Yeah.
relational.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really uh, important distinction that you're making. So, what is the kind of fear that you're feeling?
Hmm.
And then you also, I think, made another distinction, although I'm going to like speak it in my own words. So I think what I heard you say in terms of the planning, you use the word stepping stones. And
Yes.
earlier you were talking about, like how people can freak out because they don't know like what the end result of things will be. And so I
Yes.
see another distinction there. So when it comes to the planning, you're not necessarily trying to have a very specific outcome happen for you because you can't necessarily control that. You don't know what will happen as an
Right.
outcome in the uh, you know sequence of things, however things go. But in terms of planning, there are certain steps that you can plan, okay? And you may not know all the steps for how you're going to get to where you ultimately love to get to, but you can have some steps that you can imagine. Maybe when you were referring earlier about also tapping into our creativity, maybe some of that comes from
Yeah.
there, but some of it comes from asking for help, etc. Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like, with I probably, if I would have planned better, I probably wouldn't have ended up homeless. And, a lot of people were like, yeah, but your husband should have helped you. Your ex-husband should have helped you. Maybe he should have, but I can't put all the blame on him. I'm my own person. And I could have waited. I wasn't in physical danger. I was tired of being controlled. I knew staying there, my spirit would have died, spiritually,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, I would have been dead, kind of thing. Um, so what I could have done, instead of just taking $900 and leaving to try and start over, I could have looked into women's shelters. I could have looked into where do I need to work at to survive? Where do I need to go to survive? What help is out there for me in this situation? And I probably would have been a little bit better off than just saying, I'm out of here. I'm done, you know, and because I was so desperate to get out of that situation. That's all I thought about. But I also wasn't taught how to navigate that.
Yeah.
So even that was a learning experience.
Yeah.
Yes, I failed hard, but I also truly believe your journey will either blast you open or it will confine you.
Mhm.
And I needed to be blasted open in order to get to this point. Your journey is there for a reason, and your journey is about you becoming the person you're supposed to become
Mhm.
all the way until we die, and was it a fun part of my journey? No. Would I recommend it to other people? No. But I'd look at it as a journey. And I wanted to, you know, step back just a little bit because you were talking about um, how I think we were talking about how the certain steps of, um, or no, I was talking about radical responsibility. And, or no, I'm sorry, you were talking about how hearing somebody else's story helps you conceptualize seeing yourself in that. And I've had people come to me and when I'm talking about radical responsibility about their journey. Well, how can you say that? I was raped. How is that my response? How do I take radical responsibility for that? And I want to say, first and foremost, there's real victims. And there's real victimization in certain situations. And even with my ex-husband, that doesn't excuse what he did. Okay. It doesn't excuse the harm he placed. It doesn't excuse the harm he's placed upon our kids. What it does, though, is my radical responsibility was choosing not to stay in that trauma. And that's what I had brought forward. And even as, I've been a victim of rape and molestation and stuff like that, I can take radical responsibility on whether or not I'm going to keep living in that moment or move forward. I can take that responsibility to heal it. I can take that responsibility to let it go and be a part of my past. Because right now in this existence, it's not happening to me. So that's kind of how I dealt with, because I heard a lot of comments about that before. And that's how you can still take radical responsibility for yourself. It's not that you're taking responsibility for what happened to you or what other people's choices were. It's what are you going to do moving forward? And that's a part of your journey.
Yeah, yeah. You just reminded me of it's like a saying or I don't know who I learned this from. It's a definition of responsibility that was offered, where they say to take responsibility is to recognize that I'm response able, meaning like I'm able to respond
Yes.
whatever the situation I'm in. So it's like you were saying, Amy, this is not about me saying, oh, it's my fault that someone
Yes.
did this to me or that this happened to me or whatever. No, there's no actually no blaming, no judging at all in this understanding of responsibility. It is just a
Yeah.
recognition that no matter what's going on in my life or what has gone on in my life, I'm still response able. I'm still able to respond to
Yes.
my situation now. And I also found that to be a very empowering understanding of responsibility because
Yeah.
I hate feeling blamed and judged. I just hate
Yes.
it. I mean, it's so, it feels so, I mean, I don't think there's anyone in the world who really likes feeling blamed and judged.
No. No. I don't
Um,
know. Well, maybe some people do if they're like, well, I don't care what they think. I think we just all want to be understood. And when we're judged or blamed, I think we feel misunderstood because at the end of the day, I mean, there's kindness in everybody more so than others. But um, there's kindness in everybody because you can't have hate without love and you can't have love without hate. It's a very close emotion. And even people who don't portray kindness, they have a kind part of them. Otherwise, they would be alone in the woods by themselves. People wouldn't want to be around them. So there's an aspect to that. And I totally forgot where I was going with this. Oh, shoot. Um, oh, being misunderstood. Mhm. So when people judge us, we totally feel misunderstood. But if we can look at, the fact that we all have some kind of kindness there,
Mhm.
you're less likely to judge. You're less likely to feel misunderstood. But nobody likes to feel judged. It's like, who are you?
Yeah, no, it is a terrible feeling, and I think that instinct or that we have that, makes us not want to be judged and stuff. There's something there that's really important for us to actually learn in that, um, I mean, the thing is that we are so full of blame and judgment ourselves. We
Hmm.
blame and judge ourselves, but we also blame and judge other people, and yet we hate it. Like no one, I mean, again, I mean, even the people who are like, oh, I don't care what people think. I mean, they're saying that, but do they really? But if they were to really tap into their actual feeling of how they feel, I bet they wouldn't really appreciate, you know,
Yeah.
like being blamed and judged either. But but what I'm okay. So what was I trying to say?
Catchy.
I think there's something really important in this realization for us because, as a happiness expert, when I started learning about how to be happy myself,
Mm,
w- one of the most critical lessons that one of my mentors was actually my first person who I ever coached and trained with in anything to do with personal transformation, mental health, etc. My happiness expert and mentor. And so she said one of the most important things you have to learn is to develop a non-judgmental mindset, whether it's
hmm.
towards yourself or towards other people. Because when you are in judgment mode, blaming mode, shaming mode, whether it's directed towards yourself or anyone else, you
Mm.
just automatically compromise your happiness. And
Yes.
you just you j- it's like sometimes you can be like, oh, I'm having a positive judgment about someone, and so okay, fine, that may not feel bad in the moment, but it's about the mindset of seeing things in that way of good, bad, right, wrong, because that mindset itself um sort of it's like when you judge something to be good, okay, maybe you feel good. But for sure, there'll be way more things you're going to end up judging to be bad.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you're going to feel bad, you know? And so if you really want to take control of your happiness and develop a more positive mindset and a happiness promoting mindset, you have to be willing to let that judgmental mindset go. Um,
Mm.
so there's that practical aspect to why it's so important. But then also like at a spiritual lesson, and this was like a deeper lesson that took me a while to learn and understand is, like at a spiritual level, like you were saying, Amy, well, I mean, you were talking about how everyone has some kindness in them, but
Yes.
um, even beyond that, there's this uh, teaching that there's good in everything that exists, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so for us to focus on that good, to find that good, to cultivate that good, that is ultimately the most peace promoting and happiness promoting thing also for us. And so, but is it like, are we turning a blind eye? Are we supposed to stick our head in the sand towards the things that we perceive to be not good, or when there's injustice, when there's oppression? And the answer to that is no, that's not
Mm.
what we're saying. But it's about understanding like that. I mean, actually, before I get into how do you understand that? How do you understand that, Amy?
No, I love how you worded that because I think there's this misconception that we can turn judgment off.
Mhm.
And as human beings, it is our job to actually judge. But hear me out. We judge things for our protection, kind of like fear is there for our protection. What has happened over the years with our human brain, though, is we have taken that judgment and used it in a wrong way. So when we, it's like, I love your scarf, or your wrap there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. That's a judgment. We do that. Okay, is this food good to eat? That's a judgment. But when if you tap into the kindness part of side of, your own person, because everybody has kindness, everybody has love, there's creativity, imagination. Everybody's is a little bit different for a reason. And that's kind of tapping into that spiritual side also. But if you tap into your kindness when you judge, okay, so what am I seeing here about this person that I don't like? Is it their energy I don't like? So I'm just automatically judging that situation? Or am I picking up on an energy that they might be giving off because of the situation they're going through? Or can I look at them and say, wow, they're a really good looking person and what a beautiful smile, it lit up the room. So you have that choice. And I think to train your mindset, you have to be diligent about it. You have to shift that negativity and to bring more of the positivity. You have to be diligent about it because psychologically, our brains are programmed to seek out bad things for our protection. So we automatically judge negatively where you can and it takes work to even change the thoughts in your head of, oh, I can't do this, or I don't want to do, or I won't be able to. Just those three words: can't, don't, and won't. We don't realize how many times we say them in a day until you are actively trying to notice it. And that's the same with judging. If you can actively participate that response thing again on, are you allowing positivity to come in or negativity to come in all the time? Because you don't want to shut fear off. You don't want to shut judging off because it protects you. But you do have a choice to decide, are you going to use it for good or bad?
Mhm.
And then, you started to tap into, does that mean I ignore all the bad stuff happening in the world? And how can I be a positive advocate? And one of the sayings that because I had thought about that, I'm like, I really don't like seeing the stuff that's happening all the time in the world, wherever we're at right now. How do I shut this off, but not be ignorant to it? And the thing is I can choose when I see it, when I become knowledgeable about it, but I also have a choice. The saying that I came up with is the only way we change how we are living our lives is by changing the life we are personally living. That is key. And if everybody could come, I mean, it starts here at home. It starts at home. And if you're constantly seeing negative stuff, you're going to be angry, you're going to be sad, you're going to be depressed and anxious, all of that. Because why wouldn't you be? Like, we don't know what's going to happen next right now. So how do you change that? Well, you start at home. How can I change things at home? I can create happiness in my home. I can create love in my home. I can create positivity. I can choose when I keep up with the topics. And then I can also choose when to shut it off.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a lot of wisdom in what you're saying. And and it's like when you make that decision to focus on positivity, to start with changing things at home, within
Mhm.
yourself and within your immediate environment. I think it doesn't stop there. It's sort of like it actually allows you to then go wider, and beyond um, beyond what your current capacity is. It's sort of like
Yeah.
you are able to expand your circle of care and concern without becoming
Mhm.
overwhelmed and so forth. So it makes me think about um like so some of the things that I'm trying to navigate, or not trying, but am navigating in my life right now. It's like, at a personal level, by God's grace, I'm doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And the world is full of chaos, and so
Mhm.
just like you were saying, Amy, I've been having to sort of mm, manage my awareness of other people's challenges and suffering and pain, and where and when I can step in, but
Yeah.
also having an awareness of when I need to step back. Um,
Yes.
and to make that decision not based out of fear or selfishness in terms of not caring about the other people, but in terms of having an awareness of my current capacity. What
Yes.
can I do right now that would actually be helpful? Because if
Mm.
I'm taking on responsibility for things that are beyond my current capacity,
Mhm.
then I'm actually not going to really be helpful.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yes.
then I'm just doing things that are adding to the chaos, um, at the very least at a mental, emotional level for everyone. Because,
Yeah.
it's like when there's a bunch of us and we're all feeling overwhelmed and down in our energy, we actually drag each other down.
Yeah.
Our feelings, our energy, it's infectious. And,
Yes.
and so a bunch of people just talking about everything that's wrong without being able to think about what can we do that's positive, that's,
Yeah.
in terms of moving us towards a solution. I mean, to a certain level, it can feel good, like, okay, I have, you understand me. I'm, you know, uh, complaining, or voicing our hurt. To some extent, it can be helpful, but
Yeah.
it's not but we're for a very short time, actually. I think,
Yes. Yes.
you cannot stay in that state very long and continue to
Yeah.
find that helpful. It very quickly begins to um, just, drag you down, in an
Absolutely.
unhelpful way.
Yeah, and I think that that is such a good point, especially with what we see on social media. Um, I think, okay, so I'm going to take like some of the storms that have been happening, recently here. Um, we've had hurricanes and come through and devastated counties, um, and it was heart-wrenching to watch, Now, can I physically and mentally and emotionally stay in that story with those people all the time? No, because what good am I going to be to them people if I am? They don't want to look at it every day. You know, they don't want to hear about it every day. They want to look at somebody doing something good and see somebody that they can reach out to and be like, hey, you've got a great energy, you're a positive light. I need to be around you right now to make my situation feel better. Now, what can I do about I can't control storms. I can't control hurricanes. And just because I say you fix how people are living their life by fixing the life you are personally living, that doesn't mean you're ignorant to what's going on out there. But it starts at home because you can't control people, you can't control storms, you can't control weather, you can't control what's going to happen. You can't control the bad that's going to come up. But what you can do is be the light to other people. You can be that light force and that positive reinforcement. And when you're living in that positive way, when these things come up, I was able to have the energy and the ability to go help donate stuff, and take it to them and just give them a hug. You know, that meant the world to them. So you get to pick and choose how you navigate that. And I
Yeah.
think if you're constantly in that bad negative energy, you're going to put that energy off into the world.
Mhm.
People feel it. But
Mhm.
if you're constantly, if you're working on seeing the positive things in life, okay, for instance, there's a big, beautiful tree in my yard. I can look at that as it shades us. It gives the birds and the squirrels a place to live. Or I can say, oh my God, the roots are killing the grass. It's going to fall on our house. It always sheds sticks. And you can look at the bad and good of everything. So choosing how you're going to do so is really a another responsibility of what you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've had to learn, because I turned into a big control freak, that was one of my big challenges that I had to learn to deal with. And so one of the things that I had to learn is, again, just learning to focus on what response I'm able to make. And
Yeah.
then also trusting that
Oh,
I don't have to do everything alone. I don't have to
yeah.
solve all my problems alone. And not only do I not have to do it alone, but that I'm going to receive the help and support that I need. I am
Ooh,
receiving the
yes.
help and support that I need. And sometimes, I would literally, because I was like when I was so focused on trying to control everything, help would come to me and I would literally refuse it and block it off and
Yeah.
refuse it and push it away from me because I was like, oh no, oh no, I can't control this person. Can't control that outcome or that what they're wanting me to do. I cannot control everything that I want to control about what they or the how they want to help me. So I'm gonna just no. No, and so that was the other thing is that, when we are in that more positive mindset, it's not just that um, you are managing yourself in terms of what you're capable of and this and that. But when you infect others with your positivity, with your positive thinking, positive mindset, it gets their wheels turning, and then together collectively, we can come up with the
Yeah.
solutions and do things and manage things that no way any single one of us could do. You
Right.
mentioned devastating storms in your area. I mean, I'm in
Yeah.
Los Angeles, and earlier this year we had
Yeah.
some of the most devastating fires LA has seen in LA history.
Yeah.
And we are also seeing some of the best of humanity in these
Yeah.
moments emerge. And so many different ways. Like, for example, we had this um, thing where there were a bunch of food carts, like
Okay.
people on
Yeah.
food carts. And I don't know how many of them initially, but a few of them initially were like, okay, you know what? We have food carts. We're going to get together. We're going to gather in this parking lot and we're going to give out food that we have just to
Oh,
help the community. Other
yeah.
people heard about it. I'm sure they did some active reaching out in terms of spreading the word and
Yeah.
inviting people to come and do whatever they could to help and so forth. And what we saw was that within like a day, I mean, someone could have taken months and weeks to plan something like this, but within a
Yeah.
day, we saw literally hundreds and then thousands of people. Like once people knew, oh, someone's trying to do something good over here, like, people congregated. And so
Yeah.
then there was not only the food trucks giving out the food, people were bringing in donations of all kinds of things. And then, some people were like, oh, you know what? We got to organize all this. And so then people started to organize and separate all the donations into like different areas and parts. And, you know, um, and this was like a completely like community-led grassroots effort. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, our local government, they were also doing their best, but they were like still trying to figure out how the
Yeah.
government
They'd never
would,
dealt with
you
something
know,
like that.
yeah, so while our local government, cities and all were trying to like figure out how to make the response, people already stepped up and started
Mm,
the response process and started to help themselves and help each other out.
yeah.
Um, and it just once this one location popped up and started going and inspired other people to, start similar initiatives in other parts of the community. Now, all our
Yeah.
problems are not solved. We're still dealing with things,
No.
but this was like such a, like cool example of like when we don't stay stuck in feeling sorry for ourselves and
Yeah.
focusing on what's wrong, how we can actually make something really good and helpful.
Yeah, and that's a great example because even like here with the hurricanes, it wasn't just the local area people. This was nationwide, people coming in. So
Yeah,
our community is bigger than, what just surrounds us.
yeah,
And that spread, like fast, that, hey,
yeah,
let's help, let's pitch in. One person started it, one.
yeah,
And then it just automatically magnified. But look how much it magnified. Look
yeah,
how far out it magnified. So
yeah,
if you think being positive doesn't affect a huge thing or huge occurrence, it does.
yeah,
And that's how we start to change the world. It's just by that one thing. Look how many lives that helped. Look how much inspiration that created. And ooh,
yeah.
me chills thinking about it.
Yeah, and I think another really important aspect of when we are working with this kind of mindset and awareness, another thing that um, I have had to learn is that, when I was wishing for different solutions or different help, uh, like sometimes I'd like literally be praying for like, God, please help me, help me, help me. Oftentimes, the help that actually did come didn't look exactly like how I had wished for it. It
Yes.
was sometimes only part of what I wanted, that somebody would come and be like, here, I have this part of what you want.
Yeah.
And there would be a part of me that would be like disappointed that I didn't get the whole help that I wanted, or it didn't look just the way that I wanted it to be. Um,
Yeah.
so to also like work on my mindset in that context, and again, to have the faith, the trust that
Yes.
here's part of the solution already, and the rest is
Yeah.
coming too. And so
Yes.
far as it's different from what I wanted, you know what? Maybe what I have been provided uh with is even better than what I wanted.
Yeah. And that's something I had to work on was that receiving, being open to receiving it. I used to take it as if somebody was trying to help me was them telling me I'm not capable of doing it. And that's not what that's about. It's just people want to help. People want to extend their kindness. And I really had to work on opening myself up to receiving again. And that's a whole nother show because that goes into relationships, that goes into money, that goes into spirit. That's like a whole nother show.
Oh gosh. Amy,
Yeah.
Amy, you're so right. You're so right. Oh, on that thought, maybe we should start wrapping up for today.
We
We
could
could
just keep
keep
going.
talking forever.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for everything that you have shared today. Is there any other last pressing thoughts, or even if you want to share with people about how they can find you and so forth?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Amy Woods. On Facebook, it's Amy Woods Business Coaching. On LinkedIn, it's Amy Woods Coaching. I'm also sort of on Instagram, but that's Amy Woods Coaching also. Or you can go to my website at womenchoosingexcellence.com. And just a final thought, just, you decide what you're going to put on your plate. And that goes with everything that we talked about, the positivity, the what you're going to do, what you're going to have in your life, where you're going to go career wise. You get to choose that. So choose, choose excellence.
Yay. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And for my last reminder, I will just remind our audience to make sure you check the show notes, because we will drop all of Amy's links in there. So you can be sure you're connecting with the right Amy
Yes.
and get the help and support you need whenever you are ready for it. And until
Yes.
we connect next time, I wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.